Hi everyone, welcome to episode 33B, we're going with, of the Just One End podcast. My name is Elizabeth Zimmerman, but you can call me Liz. I'm coming to you from Cochranville, Pennsylvania, where I live with my husband Greg, our two children Eric and Tilda, and our cat Sunspot, who has decided to join me. You can find me on Instagram as Just One End podcast. You can find me on Ravelry as Algebrina. And there is a podcast group on Ravelry if you want to check that out. Okay, I tried to record this earlier in the week. It did not go well. We're trying it again. So we'll see how it goes. I'm committing, shoulders are sideways. I'm committing to not restarting and to not, just give up. So it's not going to happen this time. So it has been a little while since I last podcasted and published it at least. A lot has been going on. The reason I was going to call the episode 33B is two reasons. One, apparently I managed to skip an episode in my numbering. I don't really know how I did it, but I think 31 never existed. So this will get us back into the right numbering. And second of all, there was a bunch of stuff that I forgot that I was going to mention in the last podcast episode that I didn't. So I'm going to do a quick rundown of what that was. I scroll up in my notes. First of all, I'm wearing a new wrist ruler. This is the one that I picked up at West 7th Wool when I was in Texas this summer. I also have a new project bag that I have misplaced. Where did it go? Oh, I am literally sitting on it. And the cat is sitting on it too. Move your bum. So I got a new project bag. This is the By the Bay Yarn Company bag that I picked up at the marketplace at Campbell's Lair. There is a project in it that I was working on that I have not worked on at all recently, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit. That is the Unicornucopia shawl. I started it and put it down just because it's pretty complicated pattern-wise. It's brioche and brioche shaping. It's made with mohair that I'm holding double because it's a lace weight mohair and the pattern calls for DK mohair, which I really can't find anywhere anyway. But yeah, just with yarn management and the amount of brain power it was taking, this one went into timeout. But that was a project I was working on at some point this summer that I was going to bring up. I also have a finished object that I didn't mention, which is my Foxtrot Cardigan. There we go. This was Olive Knit's 4-day knit along this year. I did not knit it in 4 days. I think I knit it in like 2 weeks, which isn't terrible for a sweater. I added one extra repeat of the lace section just because I felt like it was going to be a little bit short. So I added that. I can't remember anything about the yarn right now, or anything about it, but I do have a project page for it. So I would say I'm going to put it in the show notes, but I do not have a good track record for show notes lately. So you know how to find me on Ravelry now. So if you want to check out my project page, it will be there. If I remember, I will try and put it in the notes, but I just haven't been doing that lately. So, so I'm not going to promise. Okay, so like I said, a lot of stuff has been going on. I'm going to start backwards just to mention a couple of highlights. First of all, it is December 7th, which means it is day 7 of Vlogmas this year. I am participating in Vlogmas. I think I've got 4 posted. I think I have 4 posted. So I've got 2 more days worth of editing and posting to do to catch up to today, and then I've got today's to finish up. So it is the weekend. I have a little bit more time, so hopefully I can actually get through that and post it. But we'll see. It'll get up there. Okay. Also working backwards. I'm really skipping back. I had a whole list of things I was going to talk about, but I'll just talk about a couple of them. Halloween this year, I made my kids' costumes. So I wanted to talk about those a little bit because I have kind of phoned it in the last couple of years, and I was pretty proud of how they looked this year because I actually made an effort. So Tilda was a jar of sprinkles. This is a costume that we found while we were just searching images of Halloween costumes, coming up with ideas. The site actually has the instructions for how to make it, so I was able to follow those instructions and made her a pretty cool costume. And then Eric wanted to be a pizza, and the pizza costumes that you can actually buy online are all like a slice of pizza and you stick your head out the top. And apparently that wasn't what he wanted to do. So he wanted to be a pizza. So what we did is we bought a pizza blanket, because that is a thing. You can just buy a circle that is, it looks like a real pizza. It's fuzzy, and yeah, it was perfect. So we bought that. I backed it with a sheet, and then I put in a pool noodle, 2 pool noodles, to give it some shaping so that it would, stay in a pizza shape. So I have a couple of pictures I'll throw in. One is the costume itself, and then one is the innards of the costume. It worked out way better than I was expecting. I was just kind of, messing with some things, seeing what would work, and it actually did work. So that was pretty cool. Backwards from that, I was heading to Rhinebeck when I posted last. So I did make it to Rhinebeck. I had a really fun time. I actually posted my last episode from the hill at the podcaster meetup. I hit the publish button while I was there. So that was kind of fun. I can't really talk about it anymore just because it's been so long, but I did have a lot of fun. I went to a couple of the yarny events, Needles Up, the Yarn Bazaar. Had my first experience at Buns, the hamburger joint that's there. That's really good. Yeah, I had a really fun time. I stayed in a house with, I think there's 14 or 15 of us. And that was my first year staying there, so that was a lot of fun. Just getting to eat and knit and hang out and just spend some time with some awesome ladies. So that also happened. I'm thinking that's really the big highlights. So I'm going to show you some knitty stuff. So one thing I finished that I don't actually have because I left them upstairs. I did finish my pair of flip-flop socks. I showed them last time. I think I had one done and I still had to finish the other. Basically, it's an asymmetric toe, which I typically do with my socks anyway. I just kind of split off the big toe part of it, picked up a couple of stitches in between them just so that I could do them all around. And so I could wear those socks with flip-flops if I wanted to, which I did while I was at Rhinebeck, and it was very nice. So I finished those. I also finished the baby Sophisticate sweater that I was knitting. I think I was knitting it during my last podcast. I was knitting that as a shop sample for Paige. She does finally have that in her hands. It was a bit of a saga. I actually had that when I attempted to podcast earlier this week because I put it in the mail once. It was Halloween. Halloween was when I first tried to mail it. My dad was here to help do some stuff around the house, and our mailbox was crooked. So that was one of the things on his list to look at. So I had that in the mail. He went out and he touched the mailbox to, to gauge, okay, what does he need to do to make it straight? And it fell over. So apparently it was sitting on a rotting 2x4 and a hard gust of wind could have knocked it over. I'm amazed that it didn't fall over already. So yeah, so the mailbox was out of commission for that day. My dad got the mailbox fixed the next day. I put them out again, that package and another one. And then my husband was out there at the time that the mailman came. And so the mail person opened the mailbox and pulled out the packages. Like, oh, I guess these are for me. And my husband's like, oh no, I think those were delivered yesterday. And he brought them back in the house, which they were not. They were the packages I put out. So they didn't make it. And then I just didn't send it again. At that point, I was like, I should podcast. I should talk about this. Maybe I'll have it on hand before I send it. And that was my thought all the way up until I actually tried to podcast earlier this week. And that didn't happen. So I was like, nope, this is just going to Paige. So I taped up the thing. I put it back in the mail. And I know that she has it because she already told me. So that is finally done. It's a really cute sweater. I will put in a picture. I don't know if I have already at this point, but it's just with some Cascade 220 superwash. It's really cute with its little shawl collar. It's very fast knit. Highly recommend it to anybody who's doing any baby knitting. It's nice that it's a free pattern too. Okay. I have one more finished object that I don't have in front of me, so I'll talk about it. It was a stitching project. This was part of an idea that Carrie, one of the ladies from the Rhinebeck house, had. We all made little squares of anything, stitching, knitting, cross stitch and stitching, knitting, embroidery, any sort of decorating of these squares, and we gifted them to Seashore Sharon for her birthday, which was coming up right after Rhinebeck, because she quilts, and then she could take those squares, make them into a quilt, and do. I think the idea was a special project bag. So she sent me the square. I did something for it and sent it back. But I don't have it. But I do have a picture, so I'll show you. But I decided to do a cross stitch square. I found a pattern on Etsy that was part of just like a friend's packet, a friend's themed stitching package. I was able to use my newly acquired cross stitch stash to to get the floss for it. So that was kind of cool because that's the first time I've ever been able to do that. And I stitched up this square. So it says "Life is better with friends." I changed the colors a little bit. It was more of an orange and pink, which was kind of a 70s vibe that I wasn't going for. So I did swap out for the blue. But it was a really fun project to do. It was quick and little and just, really cool to pull from stash and be able to do a project just from a digital pattern, since I haven't been able to do that before. Okay, I just realized that my mic was hanging down instead of set up on top of the camera like it's supposed to be. So hopefully all the sound was okay for that first part, because I really don't want to start over. But we'll see. If it does, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay, so that is my last finished object that I don't have in front of me. I do have 2 knitting projects that I want to show you that I finished. I have one stitching that I had to find in my pile. There we go. Okay, so this is a stitching one that I finished. It says "This took forever," which it did. I don't know why. I put it down a couple of times, so it did take a while to actually finish. But it was a kit that I got off of Etsy, and it was really fun. If I remember, I will put the show notes and say where I got it. But it was somewhere on Etsy. There's a kit. You could probably find it. This is going to go on my wall of stitching, because I have a wall over on this side of my craft room that has the last 2 years of my Clouds Factory stitch along that I finished and got framed by my friend Paige. And those are up on that wall. So this is going to get added to that collection. And then I have, as I mentioned, 2 knitting finish objects. And they are both hats. And they're both hats for Tilda, because Tilda actually wears my hats. This is it's not top this or top that. It's a little toppers. It's one of those kits where they give you a ball of yarn and a little topper of some sort, like an animal or something along those lines, that you tie in like a pom-pom. So I finished this one. I really like this one. I have some I think it's top that. I can't remember if it's top that or top this. But I have a couple that I made for the kids when they were younger. That one I had to rip out and continue the pattern because it came out way smaller than what the pattern indicated. This one actually knit up true to size. So I liked that part of it. I mean, they're both pretty simple hat patterns. So, they're nice to have. The yarn is nice. It usually gives you like some sort of striping or texture differences. Makes a nice hat. It's nice and easy. I highly recommend these. They also go on sale apparently for like a couple bucks a piece. So those are great to pick up if you need like little gift hats or gift things to do. And then this is a worm hat, because worm hats are one of my favorite things to knit because they're easy, but they look really nice and they do great with a pom-pom. This is some yarn that I had in my stash. It's Tempting You yarns. I don't know the colorway, but it's a pink with sparkles in it. I don't know if you can see the sparkle. And then a pom-pom that I think I picked up from Frame and Fiber at the New Jersey Wool Walk earlier this year. But the reason I have 2 hats is because I have the annual Just One In podcast hat along going on, which I have been a doing a terrible job of promoting this year. But I did extend the deadline again. I'm going to send it through the end of the year, hopefully with posting a podcast, and maybe I should talk about it during Vlogmas. I'll try to remember to do that. We'll get some more entries. I do have a couple of prizes. One is actually a skein of yarn that my friend Robin sent. This is a peony, or peony, apparently some people say. I've always said peony, but my realtor, when we bought our last house, always said peony. So whichever one you say, that's what this is. It's from Robin's Roost. She was one of my Rhinebeck roomies. So she sent this as a prize. I also have a bag from Tanny Casey that I can't remember if I've shown it, but it's all the way over there, so I'm not going to show it this time. But it's really nice. It's like a black heavy canvas bag. It's got gold printing on it that is scenes from Alice in Wonderland. It's beautiful. I feel bad, letting it out of my grasp. So it's a really beautiful bag. And then I also have a pattern that my friend Jamie sent in. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's a hat pattern. So I have 3 prizes for this hat along that I am not talking about and have not been promoting. So if you have knit any or crocheted or done anything with hats since October 1st, then you can enter it for this hat along. So there's a thread for chatter and there's a thread for finished objects in my Ravelry page. Go ahead over there and post anything, like I said, anything since October 1st. Stick them in there. So that's going on. That was my last finished object. Let me look at some whips. Okay, so one whip that I have, and this kind of goes along with acquisitions too. This is a fantastic project bag that I picked up at the Yarn Bazaar. I love that flamingo. It just makes me so happy. It's embroidered on the bag. At first I thought it was painted on when I saw them from afar, but it is embroidered. She had all sorts of different birds. Very cool. And I cannot remember the name of the shop owner now, or the shop that I bought it from. So I'll try and remember to put that here. I won't remember to put it in notes, but I'll put it here if I'm editing. Wuthering sheep. It's wuthering sheep. In here I also have a new crochet hook that I picked up from Stephen Willett's booth at Rhinebeck. And I have some yarn that I picked up at the Yarn Bazaar also that, again, I can't remember the name of. Do I have it in here? I don't think I do. I think that I know what it is, but I don't want to say it wrong, so I'm just going to put that here also. But this project is a Farm Girl shawl. So this is designed by Liz Alvino. I needed a project while I was at Rhinebeck because I was working on the baby Sophisticate, but I ran out of the first ball of yarn and forgot to bring the second one with me. So I picked up something specifically to have a Rhinebeck project. I didn't actually start it till I got home, but that was the idea, to do that. I think I ended up working on my stitching, so I finished up the This Took Forever while I was there. But this is the shawl that Liz designed. I actually ran out of yarn, so I need to get more. She does say it's a 2-skein project. So for some reason I attempted it with 1 skein, so I'm going to find another skein that complements it, because all I really have to do is the border and the fringe. So I'm going to look for yarn to do that with and finish this one off. But it's very nice. She also has the Farm Girl cowl, I think, which is a 1-skein project. I didn't buy that one. I bought the shawl. So so that's one thing that I'm working on. Another thing I'm working on is this one here. This is in one of the project bags that I made. This is my woven shawl. So this shawl I've been working on for a year and a half now, I think. It is my super easy go-to knitting. It's a I think the pattern's by Casapinka. It's very memorizable. I usually have to look it up every time I pick it up again, but then that's just to remember what to do, and then I don't look at it again. The problem with that was that apparently I did it wrong for the last, this much. That much there. That's all wrong, because I was in Salt Lake a couple of weeks ago for work, and I brought this with me as my knitting. I was actually working on the hat for Tilda, but once I got that down to where I needed to do decreases, I didn't bring any smaller needles with me, so I switched over to this. And I looked at the pattern and was like, okay, here's what I need to do. And then I apparently didn't pay attention to the fact that I was supposed to be doing an increase on this side that I completely skipped. So so there's an inch of something slightly wonky there. I thought about ripping it back, and then I was like, I really don't care. So nobody would notice except for me. It's that theory of if you can't see it while riding by on a horse, then I'm not going to worry about it. We're going to go with that. But I'm sure I've talked about it before, but this is the yarn that I picked up at, I can't remember names today. I picked it up in Scotland. It was at the really tiny shop that's the hole in the wall, literal hole in the wall. That's the cutest little shop ever in Scotland. And I don't have any information on it. I'll put it down here. But that is what I have been knitting on. Otherwise, I actually moved over to a bunch of stitching. I realized that I have not done anything with my Clouds Factory stitch along this year, which is Humans After All. It's kind of like human history. It's just like periods of time over the course of human history. So what I have, and this is in my maker bag, which is by Joanna from Stitching the High Notes. But let me show you what progress I've made, because I think I had stitched January and half of February, and usually you get about two figures or 2 scenes per month. So I had done, this was the very start, and I think I had done through like this guy, I think. So I'd done, this was January, I think this was February. So I'd started February. Since then, obviously, I've done a lot more. So, so we've got like, I don't know, I'm not going to talk about it. You guys can check it out. But this is progress that I've done. I haven't been stitching a lot in the last couple of weeks, but mostly that's just because Vlogmas has taken my attention. But I do want to get back to this. I will not be finishing it before the end of the year. The end of the year is like 3 weeks away. And like I said, Vlogmas is taking my attention and my time. So it's just not going to happen. However, I am going to finish it. I do want to get back to it. And have that be most of my crafting focus until it's done, because it needs to join my wall of cross stitch with the other years. And there's a new year that they have. I can't remember if pre-sales went on sale yet. I'm actually going to check that as soon as I'm done, because I always like to buy the kit, because then they send the floss you need and the fabric that you need, and I just like the ease of that, especially because they usually use a couple of special flosses. Like there's some in here that are sparkly. So that I like to do the kit. But I'm pretty sure they have a new one for this year already up. They announced what it was, and I saw it and I was really excited about it, but I honestly cannot remember what it is anymore. Oh, it's Grimm Fairy Tales. So Brothers Grimm. So that should be really good. So it's Clouds Factory. I think it's cloudsfactory.net that you go to it. But you should definitely check that out if you are interested in doing any cross stitch. Okay, that might be it that I was going to talk about. Yeah, that's all that I have for stitching wise. Oh, just kidding. There's one more thing. Because, sorry, I have my giant pile of things. Okay, there we go. This is my Cozy Memories blanket. You have seen this before if you have seen the podcast before. I've been working on it for about 2-3 years, maybe a while. So it's fairly substantial. I want to make it at least big enough to at least the size of my favorite couch throw, because I know that's the size that I like. It might go bigger, we'll see. But every year I pick a dyer and do their advent calendar. Honestly, it's random. I just like to try new dyers. It's kind of whoever happens to be posting them when I go looking. So I did Adelaide Cottage the first year. I did Giddy Aunt Yarns last year, and this year is Vicki Brown Designs. So I got her mini kit, her Advent minis, and I have been putting those into my blanket. So this is day 1, day 2, day 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I have one more to go in that's probably somewhere over here, and that'll be day 7. So that's going to go right here. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's orange also. So it might hop over just to not be orange right next to the orange. But we'll see. Anyway, I always love adding the squares in my blanket. I just never remember to pick it up, between Advents, apparently, because I think that was the last time I really put a lot of squares into it. Well, no, I put in a little bit more. This I know I remember stitching at the Flying Fibers retreat, which is in February every year. So at least I've done a little bit outside of Advent. But so that's what I'm working on, all of my stitching during Vlogmas, because it does take me a little while to do each square. So I just haven't been stitching a lot. I'm doing another shawl as well. I'm doing the Adventurous shawl, which I think was an Advent themed pattern that came out like a year or 2 ago. However, I'm not doing any of the color changes, like where you alternate rows. I'm just knitting until I run out of a color and starting another one. And I've only put in day 1. So that one may or may not actually get done during Advent. Probably not. Just because I have a hard enough time even keeping up with the squares. But that one will eventually get done. I'm saving all of my minis and putting them aside to go into that project. So that was it that I wanted to talk about for my knitting. I did want to talk a little bit about acquisitions, just because, like I said, I was at Rhinebeck. I don't have all of them in front of me. I did put up a couple of pictures on Instagram of what I purchased, so you can take a look at that. How about I put them in here so you can see? I don't know. Let's see. I don't have everything on me that I picked up, but I did want to show you a couple of my favorite things that I got. One is On the Bend. They do jewelry, and they are located in the Specialty Foods barn building in Rhinebeck. And I picked up these earrings and another pair that I was actually wearing when I tried to podcast last time, but I think I've left them upstairs. So I really like their jewelry. It's beautiful. I actually just realized that these were in this project bag because I've been searching for them for like 2 weeks. Now I know I, for some reason, slipped them into this project bag. Yeah, so jewelry was a big theme for me for Rhinebeck this year because right before I left for Rhinebeck, I was able to switch out the piercings that I had, which were just their 8mm gauges. Because I have an allergy to metal, so I can't wear a lot of jewelry. They make my ears itch. I especially can't wear very affordable jewelry because, when it's cheap, that's even worse for my ears. But is when a lot of the fun stuff is. And if you want to have a lot of earrings, cheap jewelry is the way to go so that you can have a lot of it. So what I did, I don't remember if I've talked about this before or not, but I got my ears re-pierced. This one had closed up entirely. This one was open, but I got them re-pierced and I started gauging them to the very smallest gauge that they make silicone gauges in. So I have a couple of silicone gauges in my ear right now because with these, I can put a pair of earrings in. I think I'm actually going to put these in now. I can put a pair of earrings in through the silicone gauges, and then they don't bother my ears, and I can wear jewelry again. So because I put my silicone gauges in literally the day that I went up to Rhinebeck, you'll notice if you look that closely, I'm not wearing them in the podcast that I recorded. It was later that day that I put them in, and I thought, you know what? The only thing on my list, well, one thing was a Stephen Willett crochet hook, and then the other thing was some fun earrings. So they, on the bend, they were one place that I got a couple of pairs of earrings from. And then I also picked up some earrings from Wee Ones. I've talked about Wee Ones before. They make some of my favorite stitch markers because they make tiny little animals. and she just makes the greatest things. So these, I don't know if we can see these. These are little sloth earrings. I picked these up because when I was at my Rhinebeck house, I was looking for sheets in the linen closet, and I found a set of sheets that had sloths on them. And that just made me happy. And because of that, I now have sloth earrings to go with my memories of my first Rhinebeck house. So that was a lot of fun. And then I also have, because they're right here, some flying pigs from Wee Ones Creations. These are stitch markers that my awesome friend Joan got for me. We do a secret sister swap, secret cousin swap. There's a story behind it, but we do a swap at the Rhinebeck house, and she had me, and she got me these adorable stitch markers. And the reason I haven't used them yet is because I put them into this project bag and forgot about it. So I couldn't find them. So now I know where they are again, and these are going to get used. I got some other things at Rhinebeck because I have them here. I'll show you. I also have some stitch markers from Molly Girl. I got these from her really cool candy machine thing. She had this great idea that you would purchase a coin from her. I think it was $8. And then you put that into this little candy, like those bubble, I'm not explaining it well, bubble shell, like toy machine things, like the coin, you know what I'm talking about. Like the grocery store coin turny things, or a ball comes out and you open it up. So she had a thing full of that, and in the little balls, she had like a prize that you got. So some it was like some yarn, some was a pin, some was stitch markers. So I actually bought 2 of those, and stitch markers was one of the things that I got. And I think she was donating the proceeds toward the cause that the Yarn Bazaar was doing. It. You had to do a food donation kind of thing. So she tied it into that too. So that was a really fun idea. I was, oh, there we go. There's my pin. I also got a pin. That was the other one. So, those are the things that I have on hand. I also went to the leather guy. I love the leather guy. I have a couple of his little shawl or little leather cuffs that you can use as shawl cuffs. Yeah, cocktail hour at the Coop koozie, and that's all I have within reach. So other stuff, it's all in the picture. And then right after Rhinebeck, the only purchases I've made were from my Rhinebeck roomie friends. One was from Robin, so Robin's Roost Yarns. I did go out and pick up some of her yarn from her Etsy shop. So this one is called 1980s. It's on cashmere merino sock. And then this one is Tropical Punch, and it's on a merino nylon. So I picked up these from her, and I love them. And they will go into the ever-growing collection of yarn that I have. I don't remember if I told you guys. So a furnace guy came. Oh, I didn't tell you because my furnace was broken when I was recording last one. So a guy came to install our furnace, and as he was walking past this room, he went, "Oh, I see you have a yarn business." Haha, nope. I have a yarn hobby. Habit, maybe, is a better word for it. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to show you, the other purchase that I made right after Rhinebeck was from Allison, who is Daisy Lane Designs. I got this little notions pouch. It's zippered, It has little internal zippered pockets and it has little side pockets, and it's just the best thing ever. It's really cute. And then I also got a chapstick holster for which I've been keeping on my keys. So I don't have them with me because they're hanging up with my keys, but it keeps my chapstick on hand and very easily accessible. So I love those. That is all I have. It's all I have to talk about. I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead and get this out there and posted and all of the goodness. Thank you for joining me. Again, don't forget about the hat along. Join in for that. Check out my channel for Vlogmas. I am doing that again. And yeah, I will see you next time. Bye.